My name is Craig Brown. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of Bridgeline Solutions, which is a contract attorney staffing company. It's the legal staffing arm of LEGALWEEK, which is a international legal recruiter. I was a overworked attorney at Case-Shiller, which is now Case-Shiller, well, it's Arnold & Porter Case-Shiller. And then I became a partner at one of the oldest firms in the country called McLaughlin & Stern. There was a very new market for contract attorneys, really more lower level, and my friend was, I think, MIT, Harvard Law School, and one of the best writers at Case-Shiller. And I thought if there's a place for him, there may be something in the marketplace. So I researched the companies in the market. There really was one at the time, founded by basically a non-attorney and not someone who was a partner in a law firm, as was I, and decided, much to the then chagrin, maybe displeasure of my wife, I'm going to give up 15 years of practicing law in a partnership to become an entrepreneur in a very new industry. And the rest, as they say, is history. We basically specialize in three areas. Or let's say, put another way, our services fall into three buckets. So we have contract attorneys, which means temporary attorneys. One is more befitting where we are today, which is the Legal Tech Conference, but it's attorneys for e-discovery, just to plow through gigabytes, terabytes, but millions of pages of documents and basically code them. And these are more entry-level lawyers, document review attorneys. The next bucket is basically very high-end attorneys. Often in the industry they're called secondees, doing high-level work. So not necessarily anything related to e-discovery. It could be helping out on a merger and acquisition, project finance, write an appellate brief, a real estate international deal. So doing substantive work, very substantive, on a as-needed basis. And the last bucket, there's probably 20 buckets, but the last primary is support staff on a permanent basis or temporary. So we also place permanent or lateral and temp paralegals, legal secretaries, executive directors, diversity officers, CFOs, anything a law firm or corporate legal department would need temp or perm, we do as well. The last bucket, but again, which isn't really ours, so I'm stealing a bucket from the parent company, LEGALWEEK. They're placing partners and partnership track associates in lateral or permanent positions with Am Law 200 firms, major corporations, including general counsel of corporations. So those are our buckets. Regarding differentiation, we rely on a few factors that we think separate us from the competition. So one is basically the quality of our personnel. So as I said, we're placing contract attorneys. On the higher level, they're typically major firm, known as big law, former associates, often federal judicial clerks. We place many former U.S. Supreme Court clerks, people who are attorneys who worked in the Department of Justice, served as AUSAs, United States Assistant Attorneys, and not many companies, frankly, none of the companies here today, but very few companies have the ability to attract the highest level attorney who's willing or eager to work on a contract basis. On the document review side, we also have a higher level of first review attorney we can place, where it's attorney, again, who has doc review experience, but prior litigation experience as at firms such as Cravath, Sullivan & Cromwell, Wachtell, but the major firms, and now they want to do document review. So that's one, it's the quality of our people. Two, we say our services, we can fill any need, no matter the rush. An example could be on the doc review side, we're often called upon to fill dozens of attorneys, and about 4 or 5 times a year we're asked to fill 200 to 400 attorneys on 2 to 3 days notice. So we're one of the few companies who can deliver that. And pre-COVID, we delivered that in our own office with our own computers. So the second would be just our services and our ability to meet any time need and any language need on the doc review side if they wanted attorneys fluent in Japanese, Norwegian, Thai, Italian, French, German. I think all those languages we have people currently working, but we could meet any need on the language side also. So basically, to sum up the differentiators, it's, and I'll add one more, it's the quality of people, the ability of our ability to meet any need, any demand, and frankly, there's still a differentiator with myself and my staff. Many other companies don't have leadership lawyers who practiced as real attorneys in law firms, and we all have. And there's also, last, some price flexibility. We're relatively small compared to the billion-dollar companies here at Legal Tech. So if someone said, here's a real-life story, we need 200 people, and the price has to be X because the client is looking towards India, and can you be competitive to India, and can you do X price? And we, in that case, we could, and we did all the work here. So we're very flexible if need be on the price, although we usually don't, win our work on the basis of price. Basically, why a law firm or legal department comes to us or comes to any company, it's basically cost savings is the main driver. Associates at large law firms these days, even first to fourth years, the hourly rate could be $300-400 an hour to $600 an hour for a junior to mid-level associate, and there's often no need for that. So especially on the document review side. So we offer, for corporations, it's a huge savings to the cost of outside counsel, and if it's outside counsel, they're passing along the savings to their corporate client and more endearing themselves to the client about, look, we're looking out for you, here's a low cost. So that's a main driver in the industry, is keeping the costs down. And I guess the other couple would be just to meet any need in terms of size and any rush need. Most law firms, I'd say every law firm in the world, cannot place 200 of their own people in a day's notice, even 50, 100 of the people in a day's notice. And many of them don't have, even the largest firms, lawyers with real specific esoteric expertise who may need to speak a foreign language. So we have that. So if a law firm needs 200 people in 2 days, we can do it, and they basically, cannot. So we're kind of filling a need, but the driver has been, from the get-go, just keeping costs down for the ultimate buyer of the services, which is often the corporation. Regarding our attorneys, their credentials and caliber, as I said, on the more substantive positions, non-doc review lawyers to do an M&A deal, do a project financing, help on a Hart-Scott-Rodino filing on an antitrust merger, regulatory litigation. Our folks are typically former major, they work formerly with major firms, or I was going to say formerly big law. They probably have 10 to 20 years with big law. Often they've also worked in-house, and I said before, often they're federal judicial clerks. So at the higher level, they're basically the same level that the law firms would hire directly to be partnership track associates or partners, but due to flexibility, et cetera, they're working through us. The caliber on the document review, the basic level, and I sort of hate saying basic because they're all fine attorneys, but the basic level are attorneys who do document review for a living and they've used Relativity and Everlaw and Disco and whatever platform is out there many, many times. They've served as team leads, project managers, and their experience in doc review. And I mentioned before, we have, and there are a few companies that do, a higher tier of document review attorney where they also worked at big law major firms as staff attorneys, litigation associates, and now they actually prefer the document review world than writing briefs, attending depositions, handling discovery, and we have replaced dozens and dozens of those folks, including today, someone wants 10 for tomorrow. So that's the caliber of our folks on the contract side. A big challenge to the industry, which I'm seeing here today from speaking with all these tech companies at LEGALWEEK / Legal Tech, is the advent of AI, artificial intelligence. And before that, there was something called predictive coding, but there's always been technology to replace attorneys, especially on the document review side. So a challenge is, to the extent AI improves, arguably it could decrease the need of contract attorneys, the theory being the computer algorithms, computer searches can do some of the lower level work and replace attorneys. And we've seen some of that, so it is becoming a reality, but you always need attorneys at all levels, and it's decreased some of the work of doc review attorneys, but there's so much more e-discovery and more documents involved, so where I may have needed 150 before for a project, it's 50, but there's 10 more projects. So the overall work has stayed the same, but it may have reduced the number of folks doing doc review on a per project basis. On a higher level, and I could be a bit, antiquated with this thinking here, I think we're years away from AI replacing attorneys doing non-doc review, much more substantive work. So if there's a $500 million merger, there's a huge real estate deal, there's a bet the company antitrust case, a second request, I don't think this year or next year computers are replacing attorneys. So maybe in 30 years that'll happen, but I'm fairly comfortable on our higher end, AI has very little effect on attorneys. I don't think they even for litigation writing briefs, I don't think they come close to the ability of attorneys. So I'm not concerned about AI on the more substantive level, but for doc review, it is a concern, but we're not overly concerned.